Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. So I want to talk a little bit about the Bash and the Shadowboxer fight. Now, I'm not going to try and bash too much. I'm not going to try and talk ill on Bash's name too much because I've got respect for Bash. I think Bash is a nice lad. I've spoke to Bash in private. He's not a bad kid. He's not a bad lad. But for people to think that Shadowboxer can fight, morning mate, Shadowboxer can fight just because he's beat Bash up is fucking crazy. Bash give away what 3-4 stone against Shadowboxer. Bash very rarely wins a fight. I don't even class Bash as a fighter, if I'm being honest. I really don't, and that's just my opinion. And I don't want to talk ill on Bash's name because Bash he seems like a real nice lad, and I respect Bash as a person, but I don't respect Bash as a fighter. I don't respect people who are just willing to lose fights. It gives those fighters a bad name for me. In my opinion, when fighters turn up to fights knowing that they're going to lose or willing to lose, that doesn't do anything for me. If anything, I don't look at you as game. I don't look at you as a fighter. I look at you as stupid. I just think, what's the point? Why are you doing that? Now look at what's happening now off the back of Bash. Everyone's talking about Shadowboxer like he's a fighter. Everyone's putting respect on Shadowboxer's name as if he's a grappler or a wrestler. People are even saying, if I got into a fight with Shadow and he grabbed me and I started grappling him and wrestling him, he would beat me. Like, honestly, it's fucking crazy. It's absolutely madness. This man's never had a fight. This man has never had a proper fight. He beat Andy Goy, who's not well in the head, and he's just beat Bash, who's fucking 3 or 4 stone lighter than him. And now Shadowboxer's a grappler. Now Shadowboxer's a wrestler. Now Shadowboxer can beat Paul Venus in a grappling fight or like, this is fucking absolutely crazy. I'm seeing the comments and I'm thinking, wow. I know enough about grappling and about wrestling to know that I would absolutely twist him up like a pretzel. If he got his hands around me, I would break his grip and I would fucking poke his eyeball out. I would, if it was an all-out fight, I would bite that cunt's face off. I just don't understand. I would never give him the satisfaction of me putting that man to sleep. I certainly wouldn't. Not after what I've seen. I just can't believe people are mentioning his name in my comment section as if he could give me a good fight. Like, it's fucking madness. I would absolutely dispatch that man within 10 seconds flat, and that's being generous as well. That's being generous. Like, go look at him swinging punches. Go look at him on a bag. Go look at my bag work. Go look at me hitting pads. Go look at me fighting, and tell me who's a fighter and who isn't. I just think it's mad. The fact that Shadowboxer's beat Bash up, and now all of a sudden people think Shadowboxer's a fighter. Fucking crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Shadowboxer cannot fight. Shadowboxer is not a fucking fighter. I'll give him this. He is an entertainer. That's all he is. And he's an SO as well. That's it. That's all he is to me. The fact that people are even putting his name in my comment section as if someone said, if Shadowboxer could wrestle Venus, he could beat him all day long. Get a fucking grip. Get a grip. I've wrestled and grappled for nearly 3 years of my life. Do you know what I mean? And I did it for every day of my life. I know enough. I know the basics. There was MMA fights getting mentioned of me fighting back in the day in MMA. In Cage Warriors and Bellator. So I grappled. I did defense work. I learned to counteract. Submission attempts. And yet, people think that he could beat me in an all-out fight. Like, madness, absolute madness. But do you know what? I'm not even going to entertain this. I'm not even going to entertain a fight in Wales, Ireland, or wherever he fucking wants. I would never travel to his back garden or his backyard to fight that monk. I wouldn't. I would call the shots. If me and Shadowboxer were going to fight, I would call the fucking shots. It would be on my terms. I'm the money man. I'm the fighter in this fucking situation. Yeah, he's got 100k on YouTube, but that doesn't make him the A side. He's nothing but a sausage. Even if he got lamped off me, he'd still build a big name off the back of me because he's turned up and tried to give it a go with Venice. I'd fucking flatten him in 5 seconds flat. I would absolutely destroy that man. Destroy that man. And do you want to know something as well? You know, I'm not the one for kicking people while they're down or doing anything like that. But if me and him had an all-out fight, I would stamp on that man's face, and there'd have to be a few men to pull me off him. There really would. I wouldn't just stop. There would need to be a few people to rip me off that man, because I wouldn't stop hitting him. I really wouldn't. Not after what he said about my granddaughter, not after what he said about my kids and shit like that. Or even he's saying stuff about women and that. You know what I mean? The things he said about women, and you know, my friend and brother Jack Draper and shit like that. Someone would have to physically rip me off him. But yeah, that's my take on it. God bless.